Good evening, Mr. Chairman and committee. I start by expressing my sincere gratitude that we were given this opportunity to speak before you guys regarding HB2, also known as Add the Words. I stand before you as a proud member of the community that is being personally affected by the passing of this legislation. I grew up in rural Wilder, Idaho, raised on a dairy farm with the most incredible parents any kid could ever ask for, a semi-charmed life to say the least, involved in everything that my small school had to offer. Madam Vice Chair, I know that you can relate, having graduated from Wilder. My folks supplemented my schedule with activities that further invested my roots, not just in my local community, but the state. I was a good kid. I finished at the top of my class, stayed close to home to attend the College of Idaho, worked on the family farm after my grandfather passed away, and I was even able to volunteer overseas for a couple of months. You know kids like me. You've grown up with kids like me. You are currently raising kids just like me. My stepdad, who you just heard from, David Lincoln, has always taught by example the importance of investing and serving my community in small ways that are in passing and in large ways that require a commitment and time, pushing the limits of our own comfort zone for the betterment of all. Today, although he won't brag, I will. He's a Golden Gate Highway District Commissioner, President of the Valley Regional Transit, President of the West Alliance for Economic Development, President of the Idaho Association of Highway Districts, Administrator of the Wilder Housing Authority, on the Idaho Ag Foundation Board, and last but not least, District 11 Chair for the Idaho Republican Party. And he is a supporter of House Bill 2. My mother, Susan, is employed as a district clerk and HR director at Wilder Schools. She prefers the behind-the-scenes involvement and swears that I get my activist streak from my dad. She is also a supporter of House Bill 2. We are a close-knit family. I am the 31-year-old that looks forward to hanging out with her parents on a Friday night. It's always an adventure, and quite frankly, I think we're hilarious. I'd be laughing if I didn't confide in you the struggle. I'd be lying if I didn't confide the struggle my folks and I hit when I came out as gay in 2008. There were heated discussions, a lot of tears, and at one point, the mention of me being disowned. I knew that their initial reactions were out of fear for my well-being. Looking back, they were rightfully concerned, thinking in terms of the protections that Idaho is lacking if I choose to stay in our home state. Prior to, I had never considered leaving. I'm thankful for the journey my family and I have taken together. Without it, I don't think I would still be able to be so civically motivated. I am involved in the Idaho Democratic Party both at a county and state level. I have served as an advisor to my women's Greek fraternity after graduating from the College of Idaho. I've been a Big Brother and Big Sisters and involved with the YMCA annual campaign. My dad and I volunteer every year for the Idaho food producers in their ag tent, and I have loved serving as a Canyon County dairy superintendent at their fair for 9 years now, first assisting my grandfather and then taking over once he passed away. This is all in addition to my full-time job as a behavioral therapist for children with disabilities. Chairman and committee, if it takes a village to raise a child, then each of you and your families, newer generational Idahoans, have contributed to the culture that makes this state one we are so proudly to all call home. Those influences ultimately are infused into the communities, whether it's rural or a thriving metropolis. If it takes a village to raise a child, then you have raised me. You know women just like me, from families just like mine, but you haven't heard our stories. We captivate your attention by being upstanding citizens and good neighbors in your hometown. You have raised us well. We are your future leaders, teachers, volunteers, and professionals. You may not have realized it, but we have been your mentors, professors, and colleagues. We have raised you. We are some of your best and brightest who deserve to safely call Idaho our home without living in fear. Even now, I risk it all knowing that the city I live and work in is not protecting me with a non-discrimination ordinance. I know that my parents sleep less sharing this concern with me. Wouldn't you if I were your child? I know that we can all agree America is a land of opportunity and freedom, and in Idaho, we appreciate people who work hard and meet the responsibilities to have a chance to get ahead. Updating the Idaho Human Rights Act to include just the 4 words, sexual orientation and gender identity, would ensure that all people, including those who are gay and transgender, have a fair opportunity to earn a living, meet their obligation, and provide for themselves and their families. Please vote yes on House Bill 2. I stand for questions.
Are there questions? Representative McCrosty. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lincoln, we just heard your father describe himself as a good Republican and that he found this to be a nonpartisan issue, or a bipartisan issue perhaps. Would you describe your involvement with the Democratic Party, and would you share if you believe that this is a partisan issue or nonpartisan or bipartisan?
Chairman, Representative McCrosty. Yes, of course. I am currently the Vice Chair of the LGBT Democratic Caucus of Idaho. I am the Communications Director for the Canyon County Democratic Party, and I also volunteer my time for various ballot initiatives, whether they are concerning education, agriculture, and no, I don't feel like this is a partisan issue. This is a human rights issue.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like we have any other questions. Thank you.
And Chairman, if I may, I just have 1,000 petitions from Idahoans that could not be here this evening that I would like to turn over to the Secretary.
Just leave it there on the desk and we'll make sure we get it.
Thank you.